Well, I was gonna say you literally go, or they either come live with you or you go live with them for a period of time, right? It's
Yes,
it's
I live with
yeah,
them, and it sounds, interesting. People say that sounds kind of
yeah.
crazy on the surface, but the reality is, by the time that I end up actually committing to working with an individual, I've already spent weeks, if not months, with that person, and what I like to call calibration. It really is. Hey, I meet people through third party introductions. It's never through a funnel or a website or any kind
Right.
of speaking
Yeah,
engagement.
all
It
word of
really
mouth,
is
right? All word of mouth.
all word of mouth. Even though I might be in public right now, it's still an
Mhm.
individual will call me and say, "Hey, I have a friend who knows about you. They saw what you did to X person. Would you be willing to come sit down and talk to them?" And then from there, we just build a relationship. It's about really connecting intimately to figure out whether or not they're going to be ready to handle what it is technically I'm going to put them through, even though I don't even know necessarily at that moment yet what might actually need to happen first and foremost when we officially commit to that relationship. So by the time that the investment of finances is made and the decisions are made for me to buy my ticket and fly to where they are, or and go live with them, that living with them is part of that full-blown eruption. It's like interjecting a new energy into their lives that they have not had, so that I can experience truly what's going on in their world intimately.
Mhm.
And then from there, we just continue on that relationship for a specific amount of time. It could be anywhere from 3 months up to 12 months. And it depends on how far they're willing to let me push them and stretch them to their ultimate level of performance.
So, with all the work that you've done, high performers, I mean, pro athletes, I mean, you're dealing with what it's funny because you're working with like the top CEOs, pro athletes, people that like anybody would look up to and look like, oh, these are people who have reached the highest level. They're at the top of their
Yeah.
game. And it's kind of funny, not funny, I guess, that they're really not at the top of their game, right? Like that's the reason you're there, right? So with all the work you've done with all these people, what have you found is the biggest obstacle they have to reaching their true potential?
Yeah, I'm glad
And
you brought
why?
that point up,
Because
because I've
you
had
would
so many
think those
different
people have it figured
amazing
out, right?
conversations recently, I would say, with some former pro athletes who have literally told me that the majority of them are performing at maybe 60 to 70% of their true performance potential. And when they expose, it's crazy. But on the surface, for the average person, the layperson, we see it as like these guys are the elite
That's
athletes. And
crazy.
they are elite. Can you imagine being an elite athlete and only performing at 70% of your true potential? And that is because of the dynamics
Mhm.
the relationship dynamics with team
Yeah.
owners,
Wow.
managers, other players, family dynamics, personal demons that they're still dealing with. They don't really have exposure to the type of resources outside of basic therapy, some coaching tools, reading books, and having their personal trainers, et cetera, that really make them sit in
Hmm.
the ugly truth about what is hindering that capacity to hit 100%. So I had a conversation with a pro baseball player, a retired one recently, and he said, "Man, if I had a guy, at least someone like you, who is willing to get up my ass, excuse my French here, with everything going on as it's happening to me, I know that I would be able to hit my full potential." Here's the biggest problem, though, Dave, is most people in those genres, CEOs, those high caliber folks, are around others that are dealing with their own personal demons. So they are not allowing those people to actually break through the ceiling themselves. Like a team owner for a pro baseball team might be dealing with addictions, might be dealing with adultery, might be dealing with problems in his personal life. So of course he's only going to allow his players to go so far because he himself is dealing with that. Thereby, which what happens is, if that pro baseball player, since we're using this as an example, were to hit 100% potential, they would have to pay him more money. They don't want to pay him more money.
Mhm.
So they are happy keeping these guys capped out. Now, it might be, most of the time, it might be unconscious that they're doing this, but a lot of the times that he was telling me, they sometimes are purposely doing that. And that's the dysfunctional aspect of human dynamics that people are kind of dancing around and nobody is attacking head on.
Hmm.
Even therapy doesn't attack it head on. We like to just approach
Hmm.
it from this whenever you're ready approach, whenever you feel like
Hmm.
it, whenever it makes sense for you, whenever it doesn't feel awful or uncomfortable. And I'm the opposite of that. I don't care. I will get into someone and I will fight them head on because I can see what's really hindering that ability to break through that limitation that they have perceived as their cap out point. And for me, it's unacceptable if you're going to have influence and impact on others. So that's just one example of many. But what I have found is the fact is they don't have the right resources in their lives. They have yes men and women, and they allow those people to do just the bare minimum. They control who it is they have around them so they can feel like they're still on top, the big dog, and they don't really get anywhere because they believe it's just an ongoing, never-ending process of growth. And that's the biggest problem.
Right.